Welcome to this week's video, where I'll be speaking about what I think is important for the next 5 to 10 business days. And this week, I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. Obviously, I think you can't be really anywhere in the world and not know about what's been happening regarding the small retail investor, the Reddit traders, as we call them. I'll also be talking about vaccines, the latest vaccines, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca. Will these be approved in the US, in Canada, anytime soon? And finally, valuations. I think valuations for many investors is top of mind. Have we come too far too fast? Many believe that this could be, or they're comparing what we're seeing today to what happened in the late 90s. And I don't believe it is, but we'll talk about that. And I think the markets are definitely focused on that as well. Over the past few trading days, we've seen a number of what I would call small retail investors band together on social media sites, on Reddit chat groups or chat rooms, chat forums. And we're talking about 3, 4, 5 million people, all moving in one direction, all with one goal, one purpose: to buy stocks, certain stocks that have a very large short position, driving up the prices and taking on a lot of these Wall Street, Bay Street, hedge fund managers who were selling these companies short. And it's been quite interesting. We've seen stock prices go up in a day 100%, 200%. We're now starting to hear that there have been some restrictions on some of these investors. And in my opinion, I don't believe that is correct. I don't think these investors are doing anything wrong. They have the right to invest in whatever they like. And unfortunately, what ends up happening in these cases is some of the last people to get involved or to buy into these stocks, they tend to see their stock prices fall tremendously once the hype or the trend goes the other way. The unfortunate part for me, and this is where I think us as investors that aren't a part of it, I think we are concerned because at some point we're going to see these stocks pull back. Every time we make a video, every couple of weeks, we talk about vaccines and the rollout of vaccines. And we've talked about how things got off to a slow start, both here in Canada and in the United States. The US markets really set the tone for the world's markets. Here, our markets here in Canada, the Toronto Stock Exchange, we take our cue from the US. And it's been really good to hear that they're vaccinating people somewhere around 1.5, 1.6 million per day. And we've received some good news this week, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And Johnson & Johnson will be applying for emergency authorization for their vaccine in the next week or so. And it is estimated that once that is approved, that the US could see more than 2 million vaccinated on a daily basis. And so once again, vaccines are extremely important. They're extremely important because vaccines really is the only way, and what I think, that we can get back to what we're used to, a life we're used to, the life we had prior to 2020. That is just going to be a great time. So keep an eye on vaccines, vaccine approvals, especially the J&J and AstraZeneca in the next 5 to 10 business days. The third topic that I wanted to address in this video with regards to what you should be watching in the next 5 to 10 business days regarding your investments, the markets, is market valuation. And again, it's a topic we've touched on in past videos. It's something that I keep being asked every day, pretty much every week for sure. People are wondering when the next pullback is going to happen. A lot of people talking about the tech bubble again that we saw very similar in the late 90s. But I don't agree with that. I really don't. And the unfortunate part is if investors keep believing that this is happening, this could prevent them from making purchases, from buying stocks, from investing their hard-earned dollars. And when you look at a name, let's say like Apple, for example, or even a Facebook, they reported fantastic earnings. Apple reported one of the best earnings that we've seen out of any company ever in history. $111 billion they reported as growth. And their stock on that day actually fell. It actually went down. And so what does that mean? Well, to me, that meant that unfortunately that day, the markets were overall had a negative tone. And so that took down Apple. But overall, these companies and their valuations, in my opinion, are justified. I think when you factor in the interest rate environment, the low inflation environment, how much stimulus is being sent out of Washington, these names will continue to perform. And I think anyone who tries to get out of this market to try and time the market is making a mistake and is never a good idea. to try and time market. So keep an eye on valuations, keep an eye on individual stocks that maybe you think are interesting. Keep an eye on what they're telling you from their most recent quarterly reports. And that's when you need to look at everything and make a decision whether you should be buying these names.